Hey, friends. Welcome to Dishing on Divorce Next Chapter on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, podcasts, and TV. I'm your host, Lisa Lisser, CEO and founder of LZL Coaching, a boutique coaching firm focused on divorced relationships and life transitions. I'm also a divorced mom of 3 now grown kids, a recovering lawyer, a current educator, and spiritual counselor, and a divorce coach who is committed to transforming the divorce experience for everyone involved. I see divorce coaching as the bridge between the therapist and the lawyer, the guide on the side who answers the questions that keep you up at night and help you navigate the inevitable challenges and dark spaces that invade your space and lead you astray. One of the most challenging aspects of divorce is co parenting with the person who broke your heart and shattered your dreams, but who also happens to be your children's parent. How do you do that with grace? How do you find a way to put your children's interests above your own? How can you even communicate with a person who you may feel blew up your life and your children's lives? My guest, Trina Nudson, is the visionary founder of BEH2O, a transformational co-parenting movement that is redefining what is possible for co-parents as they navigate these tumultuous waters. Trina's background as a social worker, attorney, child advocate, and certified divorce coach led her to discover her why, safeguarding childhoods. Last week, we talked about the power of BEH2O. This week, in part 2, we're going to go even deeper. So welcome, Trina.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, I am so thrilled to have you. And Trina, before we really dig in, I'm going to share a little bit more about your bio. Last week, I think I didn't read everything or even anything because I was so intimidated by everything that's part of who you are and what you do. So this week, I want to give a little bit more about this incredible journey that's been your life so far. So here we go. So Trina's mission is to empower families and professionals for transformational growth. She has a deep commitment to safeguarding childhoods and a passion for helping parents and professionals achieve lasting growth. Trina is a coach dedicated to transforming mindsets and fostering stronger family connections. Drawing on years of experience in family law, parent education, and mindset coaching, Trina has created the BEH2O curriculum, a holistic program designed to empower co-parents and professionals to navigate conflict, communicate effectively, and model positive relationships for their children and clients. Trina's approach is rooted in both empathy and strategy, combining insights from neuroplasticity, entrepreneurial leadership, and family dynamics. Her work guides clients through a journey of self-awareness, helping them realize their own potential to create positive change in their families and professional lives. Whether you're a parent seeking to improve your co-parenting relationship or a professional looking to deepen your understanding of family dynamics, Trina offers the tools and support you need to thrive. Through her work with the Lane Project and My Child Advocate, Trina has helped countless families and professionals experience transformative growth, ensuring that their children are protected and their goals are aligned with their deepest values. So, that's an incredible statement of who you are. And I love it because it's so inspiring. It is your why. So tell us how you got there.
Lisa, I didn't wake up one day and was there. So it has been transformative. I have transformed. You said you were a recovering attorney. There has been so much growth from where I started as an attorney to where I am. I jokingly say that when I was in the School of Social Welfare, I think they infused me with so much empathy that I couldn't see straight. But then when I went to law school, they kind of took out my heart, and I walked around for quite some time with a black soul. I knew I wanted to help kids, but I didn't understand the best way to do it. And when I was introduced to coaching, it just opened up a whole world of difference for me. It's been a journey, and a transformative journey, for real. And so I have experienced the transformation, and having that gift, I can't help but try to give it to families and try to give it to professionals, because it is just that. It's a gift.
Yeah, such a gift. And I love how you share that you've been transformed. And so you can move it forward because you've had the experience, right? We all know that, like, our life is our message, right? Some people say our mess is our message, but really it's when we have an experience that has changed us, has transformed us, we want to share it. We want other people to know that it's possible. And it doesn't mean that, like, we want other people to have our pain. It means that we want other people to have our power. And that's what you share so brilliantly. And it's the science and all the pieces that you put together that make the BEH2O process so amazing. So, since this is part 2 and not everyone has seen part 1, share a little bit about the process of what is BEH2O, and what exactly does it stand for? What is BEH2O?
Be stands for beryllium, which is a very flexible metal. A lot of parents come and say, "What do you want me to do? Roll over and play dead, be a doormat?" And I really don't want that at all. Unfortunately, being stuck in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, we ultimately, unintentionally undermine our own values. And
Okay,
so
wait. I'm stopping because that is huge. People don't understand that sometimes they undermine their own values, right? So I'm going to say it one more time. Sometimes what we do when we're trying to make change to protect our children, to do what we think is the best, we are undermining our own values. Okay, go on.
and we create our own biggest fears. So we have to first open up our minds to that. And then, so we have to be strong by our values, but we also have to be flexible in a way, because our co-parents are going to mess up. They're not going to do things right. They're going to upset us. If we agreed with them, we'd still be together. And so how are we going to be flexible in those situations? And then H2O is water. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be roadblocks, and we need to have some fluidity, as it relates to when those things are thrown in our way, so that we don't get caught up in the tornado, right, of the conflict. And then put it all together, and it's the Be Water strategy. It is a 16-week curriculum. A lot of people are like, "You've got to be kidding me." 16 weeks, but it's no different than if you go to the gym and work out for a day. You're not going to automatically be fit. And the reason it works is because we're building new neural pathways in our brain, and that takes time. It's very multifaceted. We have classes, we have joint meetings with the coach. You are a certified coach, and the two parents. We also have individual meetings between the parent and the coach. There's 2 of those. At the end of the program, we have a family meeting actually with the child. We have the ability to do child inclusion sessions as a part of the process. But it is a process, Lisa. It's a journey. And the research is suggesting that families really do not really experience the transformation until week 6 to 10 is really when it is. So I really start off by letting families know, don't get frustrated when there's not an immediate change. It's going to take time. And we have to be compassionate when we work with these parents, and empathetic, so that they can lean in. And Lisa, as a professional, as an attorney, I said that they kind of took out my soul. I lost empathy. And so when I was working with co-parents as a guardian ad litem, as a parent coordinator, as a case manager, shame on you. That's how I would approach parents, which did not allow them to lean in, right? It didn't allow them to create that opportunity for transformation, because I unintentionally was continuing to put them in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So they would leave my office just like they leave the courtroom, more dysregulated when they entered. And then we expect them to be their best parenting selves. It just doesn't happen that way. And so when I started having that realization, the transformation, sorry, I get kind of teary-eyed because it is huge. That transformation you see in two co-parents who didn't think that they could even talk to each other. And now they're able to sit in a room together. I don't know. I can share something about an experience that I had last night with one of those families, if you wouldn't mind.
No, I would love to hear it, because as you're getting teary, I'm getting teary, because it's that powerful. So please share it with my audience. It's so important.
Well, I created BEH2O in 2020. And so over the past 5 years, I've seen this growth. And it has been a very costly venture. You know me, Lisa, I don't do anything halfway. So our program is very well written. We have videos and things like that. So it does cost to go through the program. Each family gets 26 hours of service. And I really needed this to reach not only those families that could afford it, but those families that couldn't, which resulted in me founding a nonprofit called the Land Project for Families that does offer BEH2O. And because it was Giving Tuesday, we had the news at our offices yesterday, and I invited a co-parenting pair that graduated from BEH2O about a year ago. And I can share their names because they were on the news yesterday. Philip is dying of stage 5 colon cancer. He was given his death date, if you will, in May 2024, and he's still alive. And he was so angry and so hurt. He is a father of either, I think 6, but he has 3 or 4 different moms of his children, and he's an African-American male. So he walked into Johnson County courts in his mind with a scarlet letter on his shirt, and he walked out with only every other weekend parenting time with his 5-year-old daughter. Jordan, mom, she was a first-time mother. She was raised in a somewhat affluent family, and she's white. And she was given primary custody, if you will. She was given a very hefty penny of child support, and she walked out of there feeling pretty good, or so she thought. And so she thought. So she was following the court order that was handed to her. She felt talked down to by dad and was a little bit shaming of him as well. Why, how dare you treat me that way? But that's because she felt shamed by him. He was an older man, 10 years senior or more to her, with, I think, 6 kids, 5 or 6 kids. I don't remember exactly. For this first 6 weeks of the program, Lisa, it was hard. I was seeing this man filled with so much anger, and also knowing that he was in stage 5 colon cancer, and my heart hurt because I didn't want his 5-year-old daughter, who is now 6, to see him that way. I did not want it to end that way. I didn't want it to end that way. Joint meeting number 3, they don't remember what joint meeting it is when they present it yesterday. I do. It was So powerful. And Jordan began to hear how he was feeling, that he was going to work sick, deathly, and they were taking 800 plus out of his paycheck a month. And he was also paying child support for his other kids. He could barely make ends meet, that he just wanted to experience his daughter. And Jordan started to look at him as a human. And then he started looking at Jordan as, oh my gosh, I've been shaming you. And the transformative nature of that session was a building block for what happened that was truly beautiful over the next 10 weeks for this family. And they wanted nothing more than to be able to share it with the world. He was planning to come to my office a few months ago to do a recording, and he was hospitalized and he couldn't do it. And the fact that he was able to be here last night when the news was here and share his story, and that's something that their daughter Jordan can have for the rest, their daughter Cameron can have for the rest of their lives, was such a gift to me. And they keep thanking me for doing this. I did nothing. It was the process of BEH2O that allowed them to lean in and look at one another as humans. And they will tell you they were both angry, they were hurt, they were scared, they did not want to be here. They did not. But they are so grateful that they have been. In the video, if you watch it on the news, one of the things that Jordan says is it's not about time. We don't have to follow the parenting plan. That if Cameron wants time with her dad, she can have time with her dad because that's what's best. But she would have never been able to look at it that way before, ever. And she's able to say that. And so as you go out into the world, Lisa, and you start talking to attorneys and telling them about the power of BEH2O, they're not going to believe you.
Yeah.
They're not going to believe you because I wouldn't have believed you either. I wouldn't have believed, as you work in the powers of this conflict, that's all you see. But when we see that it's possible and we walk in and work with these parents knowing it's possible, there's no other choice than to make it happen.
Yeah, that is incredible. And my biggest takeaway is that they open their eyes and look at each other as humans. Right? They've been looking at each other as adversaries. They've been looking as obstacles, as enemies, as objects, right? They are just objects, and they're obstacles in their way of getting whatever it is they think they need, or what they're supposed to be asking for, or how much can I get over on you? And how can I keep my child from you? And because it's my child. And there's so much that's weighed in there instead of looking at your co-parent as a person. It's so hard.
You're right, Lisa. It is so hard. And we had attorneys in our offices yesterday touring the facility. And one of the attorneys says, they know better. And I said, you know what? I used to believe you. That's how I was until I've watched families transform. Parents don't do this in spite of their kids. They don't pull their kids in the middle to hurt them. They do it because they're scared. They don't know better. When we're acting in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, we're in our irrational brains. And when we meet parents with compassion and don't judge them or shame them and understand, wow, you actually had no choice but to respond that way when you were in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Let's help you to shift your paradigm so that you can look at things from a more rational state and not undermine who you truly are or undermine your values.
Right. So again, we're coming back to how can we help these parents not undermine their values? Because they're not doing it on purpose. If they knew they were undermining themselves, they would not do it. Nobody
Exactly.
wants to undermine themselves. That's not the goal.
It's not. And far too often, the court system is set up in a way that there's right or wrong. Someone's got to be right and someone's got to be wrong. In working through BEH2O, we're not doing an investigation. We're not spending time trying to figure out whose truth is the truth, because the reality is it's each of their truths.
Yeah.
And so we're not trying to find out who's right or wrong. We're trying to figure out the best way to get it right for their kids. We're not trying to repair their past relationship or that that model of their relationship, because it didn't work. That business model did not work.
Right.
So we're not spending time trying to repair that. We're going to make that one obsolete. We're going to start from the ground up, and we're going to build our foundation. And that takes time. So why is it a 16-week program? Because it takes time. And we don't this is not, I have no magic fairy dust. I don't. And so our co-parent's going to make us upset, and we're going to make our co-parent upset. So let's accept that. And so what are we going to do when it happens? Let's prepare in times of peace, not in times of war.
Right.
And so it's very much based on entrepreneurial literature, because we're being proactive rather than reactive. Because our children deserve only the best, right?
Right. But also let's think about, how do we encourage people to enroll in this program? Right? Because if they hear 16 weeks, they can run for the hills. And if they hear workshop and they think, I have to be in the same space, they can run for the hills. And if they hear workshop, they may think, I don't want to do couples counseling. But this is where BEH2O is not couples counseling.
Absolutely not. I didn't find co-parenting therapy or couples counseling effective at all. And that's what pushed me over the edge to do something different. Like, I had no choice. In my mind, I had the answer, and I was sitting on the sidelines waiting, and I couldn't wait anymore, because I saw parents dropping thousands and thousands of dollars into co-parenting therapy when therapy wasn't what they needed.
No.
They needed a new business model. They needed a new approach.
So that's what is also so unique about BEH2O. This is not therapy. This is a business approach.
Yes.
When you think about it as an entrepreneurial operating system, and now we are working together, co-parents, where you're creating a business of raising your child, not a therapeutic model that you have to deal with your inner demons. This is not about inner demons. This is about the future, the present and the future. And how are you going to build the best foundation to raise this child, or these children for that matter?
And how are you? Yeah.
No, go on.
How are you going to look at it differently? So I was just earlier today, I was doing one of the one-on-one sessions with a mom that's in one of my current BEH2O groups, and we were working on shifting her paradigm. And she was talking about her frustration because she schedules all the therapy appointments. She takes the kids to all the therapy appointments. She enrolls them in all the extracurricular activities. And why isn't he doing this? He should be doing it. He should want to be doing it. A lot of shooting all over the place. And I asked her, I said, what do you do for a living? And she is in a managerial position and oversees, I think she said, like more than 900 people in an insurance firm. And I asked her why she was good at that. And she explained, well, because I'm very good at organizing and making sure things get done. And I said, is your co-parent good at that? Oh, no, absolutely not. And I said, well, let's take a step back. If I'm running a business, am I going to want my accountant to do my marketing? And she was like, well, no. Am I going to want my marketer to do my accounting? She was like, absolutely not. And I said, is my marketer going to yell at the accountant for not bringing in any new business? She was like, no. Oh. I said, what? She's like, I'm a good manager. Yes. And your kids deserve nothing but the best. Two things could be true. Yes, you're doing all this and he's not, but you are the best one in this business to take on this role. So what are you going to focus on? What is going to position you to be the best mom feasibly possible? Right?
Yeah.
And so that shift in paradigm, when she walked out of the office, she was in a completely different mindset and looking at her co-parent completely differently than she would have otherwise.
Right. Right. That's great. That's great. And that's a tool. That's a tool. When we do the shifting paradigm session, we are really training people to see that they actually have what they want, even though they believe that they don't.
Exactly.
And
We can't always see it. We can't see it until the example. Why I love using entrepreneurial literature is because when we take it out of the co-parenting relationship and we have them read books like Arbinger Institute's Anatomy of Peace or Outward Mindset or Simon Sinek's Start from the Why, they're reading it from a completely different vantage point. And then when we translate it into their co-parenting relationship, they find the answer themselves. I'm not telling them anything.
right. Right. And that empowers them even more because now they've discovered it themselves.
And that's what has empowered me, Lisa. As a guardian ad litem, I analogize it with it. Imagine that you're helping your child with a Pinewood Derby race. And as a guardian ad litem, the analogy is it's like I am helping very intimately my child build that car to the point that I'm actually building the car, right? And now the child wins the Pinewood Derby, and we're like, yay, the child won. Going through BEH2O is like your child, you watching your child build that Pinewood Derby car, not utilizing much of your help, and then they win.
Yep.
Like, it's like, yes, like they did it. And then they're able to replicate it. But that's where I wasn't fulfilling my why as a guardian ad litem, because I did a great job investigating. I did a great job making recommendations. The court ordered generally what I recommended, but I wasn't safeguarding childhoods.
Right.
Because I wasn't working with the parents to help them find the answer.
Right. Well, when you're in the position of judging, you're also in the position of shaming and blaming, and you put people on the defense. And when they're on the defense, then they are not being their best selves.
Yes.
And
And
when
I
they're
love that, Lisa. I love that because, yeah, that's what I did. As a guardian ad litem, I was in a role of judging, right?
Yeah.
I was in that role. That's why the court system isn't the place for these families.
Yeah.
And that's why attorneys with hesitation of what? I can't get anyone to do a 16-week program, right? That's ridiculous. It won't work anyway. I get you.
Yeah.
I have so much empathy for you because I sat there. I was you.
Yeah. And so what I do when I hear all of that, and then I hear stories like you just told us, I even go into the pragmatic mode. I'm like, let's say all of it's true. Let's say none of it will work. Let's just try it, and I'll tell you why. Because A, even at the price that it's set, which sounds high, it's still for 4 months of service, and it's cheaper than a motion, whatever price it is. So it's cheaper than the legal process. B, when you're waiting for a motion to get heard, you have no agency. You're just waiting. When you're in the BEH2O workshop, you actually have agency. You're actually doing something. So you're not just waiting around. And lastly, you get to decide how it ends, not a judge. So for those 3 reasons alone, you can't blame someone else for the result of the process. And you're part of the process. So be water. Right? So be water.
I love that, Lisa. But what really resonates with me is this isn't about co-parenting. It's about changing your life. Like,
Yeah.
that is what I keep hearing. This isn't, wow. Like, Trina, my life has transformed. I have a lot less road rage, right? I'm doing so much better at work. These are tools not just for co-parenting. They're tools for life. And all the research is saying what co-parenting curriculums are lacking. What we're not addressing is well-being. Well, after you complete BEH2O, your well-being has been transformed. But let's go beyond that. When you are your best self, guess who else is going to be their best selves? Your children.
Everyone around you, your children, and then everybody next to your children.
Exactly. And it's a ripple effect. Oh my gosh. Let's play with that water analogy.
Water.
Be water. That's why it's a movement, Lisa.
Yeah,
Water.
It's a movement. So we didn't take a break, and we are at the end of our time, but I love this. And we could talk for a long time, and I will have you on again. But tell me and tell my audience, how can people get in touch with you? How can they get started? I know that I'm starting a workshop on January 27th, so people can get in touch with me at Lisa at lzlcoaching.com. How can they get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me at trina@thelaneproject.com. You could also go to www.thelaneproject.com. There's a page on that for BEH2O coaching for professionals, as well as BEH2O co-parenting, the co-parenting course. But I would just ask that you don't believe me. Don't believe me. And what I have found is my graduates speak for themselves. So I have graduates that have spoken that are on our website, and Jordan and Philip's interview will be on our website very soon. It's going to be much more detailed than the one on the news. So I don't expect you to believe me. Why would you? But believe those who have experienced the transformation of BEH2O.
That's great. That's great. And if you have more questions, I am going to have a Q&A on December 16th at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So go to lisa@lzlcoaching.com to register. I look forward to seeing you and to answering any questions that you have. And we will show some clips of the testimonies of people who've gone through the program.
Thank you so much for having me again, Lisa. I so much appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Trina. All right, everybody, have a great day, and we'll see you next week.